Hey, welcome back. Yesterday seemed like the lag wasn't too bad. Today, I don't know. Oop, 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 oop. We'll see. Some days bad, some days good. So what I have to do is I have to go where the X is. I thought the X was pointing to the temple, and I was like, oh, I was already there. But that's where Srasralat is. He's there, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm stupid. Okay. I was going to talk about Karenina today. Such a great name. Very memorable. I still have those stupid Hamilton songs stuck in my head, so I'm like mixing those together. Karenina. I am complicit in watching them grabbing the power mixing. Oh, and Karenina all on our toes. I like the alliteration or whatever. So the reason why I was reading this book is because I found a confession thing and I read that. That was Tolstoy. And then I was looking on Wikipedia, and then Wikipedia is like, oh, Anna Karenina is like the best book. One of the first lines of Anna Karenina's Wikipedia page is like, everybody agrees, like, this is pretty much the best book ever written. So I'm like, okay, I gotta read this, right? It's the best book ever. So that's why I'm reading it. Because I don't really read too many fiction books. I never read. I barely read books, and when I read books, I read nonfiction. Because I want to be, like, smarter. But this is like a book where you can read it and still feel smarter. So, going into it, I guess I thought it might be a little bit boring, or the thought of like an 1800s Russian novel, when you hear that, you're like, oh, it's gonna be about the cold winter and like Russia, and everybody's dour and sad and they're depressed. It's not like that at all. Maybe it gets like that, but part one isn't like that. Even when there's bad stuff happening, there are happy moments. I don't know how else to describe it, except like it feels like a modern story. It feels more modern than I was expecting, and that's kind of how I felt with The Confession too, so I guess that's just how Tolstoy is. It's ageless. Kind of. I guess the first thing you think is, I hope I can understand this. It's a very old book, and it's long. There's a lot of characters. Am I going to be able to understand it? But if I can understand it, like anybody can. The thing is, every story is pretty much the same. It's about this person likes this person hates this person betrayed this person's jealous, this person had an affair, this person was lusting for power or something. Every story is the same. You just have to understand the context and the characters, and sometimes there are words like, can't think of one off the top of my head, but he'll mention like a Russian thing, and I'll be like, what is that? But then most of the time you can just kind of understand what it is from context. And most of the time it's not really that important anyway, because it's about this person hates this person. If you understand that, you understand the story. You don't have to understand the other little stuff. It helps, and it's fun context, but you don't have to. So once you get through chapter 1, and you're like, okay, I know who's these characters are. Now I just have to now I'm on the journey with them. What are they gonna do? Give me the boots. Oh, you need the things, and then you get the sword. Whatever, I don't care, old man. Just give me the boots. So yeah, you feel smart understanding it. I feel smart understanding stuff like this. It kind of reminds me of when I watched Downton Abbey. The first episode was kind of hard to understand. There's a lot of words they use. I don't know what's happening. Like, who is this guy? Why should I care about this stupid people? But then you watch the next episode, or you rewatch the first episode. That's probably what I did. Because I don't understand what's happening. And then once you start understanding, like, oh, this guy hates this guy. Oh, and he just did something, like, behind his back. That was kind of cool. And then you start getting into it, like, oh, these people are sneaking around together, and, like, oh, he's the butler, and, like, he shouldn't be doing that. Why is he doing that thing? And so you start to be like, oh, these people, they don't like each other, but, like, they can't show it to each other because they gotta be polite. And you just start learning about the characters and how they interact, and what the context is of the main story. And once you understand all that, like, every story's the same. Downton Abbey's the same. The only difference is, like, if you're like a science fiction or like a fantasy book, because they have to explain, like, lightsabers to you or something. Like, what is this? It's a new thing. Never heard of it. It's lightsaber. Well, it's like a sword with the light thing. Oh, that's cool. You have to explain that. People don't... That's not in every story. Lightsabers aren't in every story. The Force isn't in every story, so you kind of have to explain it. But you have to explain it. You can't just have it and just not explain it if it's in your story. So they're going to explain it to you. And if they don't, it's a bad story. How do I do the Pegasus boot thing? Oh. So I feel smart reading the book, and I'm like, oh, I understand what's happening. Anna Karenina and Vronsky. So I guess I'll talk about, like, what I liked about the way Tolstoy writes. And I think it's translated from Russian, so you kind of have to say, oh, who's the translator? Like, she's a good writer, I guess. I don't know. But obviously this is in his writing. The thing that I like that he does, he's very good at explaining I don't know, this seems like such a fundamental thing for a writer to be good at, but, like, explaining or making human interactions interesting. And also when because I guess this is part 1 and part 1A or whatever. He's good at making interactions interesting because he's good at explaining, like, the nuances of emotions people feel when they're talking to somebody. And all he's doing is the story is about these stuffy, aristocratic Russian people, like, and you think, oh, how interesting could they be? But he makes them interesting because he's like, whenever he describes them talking to each other, they have these nuanced, like, layers of emotions. And I'm trying to think of an example. It's a little bit hard. There's one point where this one character likes this girl, and they're ice skating, and that was the point where I was like, ice skating? Are they allowed to have fun in Russia? And they're, like, having fun and they're skating around. I don't know. You think about Russia and everybody's, like, sad all the time. Is he here? No. Is he here? No. Where is that guy? I got him. Oh, hey, come back here. I thought that's what you're supposed to do. Like this. No? Nah, whatever. Okay, now where do I go? I have to go down there. To that pendant down there. Cool. They're ice skating, and the way It's not cliche. I don't know. Maybe it is cliche, but I just never read books, so I never hear interactions described this way. But the way he describes this guy who's nervous to meet this girl because he likes her, and he like doesn't want to mess it up. And then the way he describes the girl who's like very bubbly, or like she's like infectiously nice and everybody's nice. But then so it's kind of a weird interaction because the guy's really stressful and the girl's always nice. And so the guy is kind of super perceptive to whatever's happening with the girl. And so he says something and he's like, oh, there was like a twinge of something in her eye that made me think that maybe what I said wasn't right. But I know she kind of like snaps right back into her personality because that's who she is. But am I like misreading that, or was that something? And he just describes it well. So that's the thing that I'm noticing. Because I'm already 1/8 through the best book in the world, so I'm like, well, what's so good about this book? And I'm like, oh, that's good. Because, I mean, it's hard for me to judge because I don't read a lot of books like this, but... well, the other thing is... I think what I'm thinking about is, like, why people like this book is because there's so many characters and all their interactions are, like, interweaving and, like, oh, this character is interacting with this one. And I'm sure it all makes sense, so like that's probably really hard to do, like a Game of Thrones thing or something, where there's like a bunch of characters and they're all doing their different things, and like this character interacts with this one, and okay, I don't know how to do this. Something with the Pegasus boots. I don't have to go that way, just go down. And I think that's, when I watched Game of Thrones, I never read the book, but that's the thing that I like the most about those kind of stories, and shows, is like, they've created this huge world. It feels like you're just peeking into this huge world, and they're showing you glimpses of it. Obviously, that's not what's happening. Everything that they tell you is the entire world, because the entire world is just in the book. It's not a real thing. But when you create a story like that and you have all these different things and all these different characters interacting, the world feels so much bigger. And so it's like you're discovering things in the world, and it's not just like them telling you what's happening. It's like this whole world has already been created and now you're just learning about it. Like if you looked in a history book and you were like, the Vikings took over Wessex in 1753, and like, oh, there was this guy named this guy, and he attacked, and you're learning about it like it happened. You're learning about the world. That's why people like history, probably. There's a stupid gnat in here. It keeps flying in my face. So yeah, that's why I liked the TV show, because it's like, oh, what is this house? And what's their thing? And they don't like this house? Why don't they like this house? And this character killed this character. So that means that this house has to do this political thing, or this guy below me is being loud. Always something. I'm moving soon to a Rome, New York, there's nobody up there. So it is kind of totally quiet. Ooh, what's that mean? How do I open this place? Anna Karenina. And the Karenina treasury grows. And the Karenina see where it leads. I'm almost done. Oh yeah, I am done for today. I'll talk more about the book tomorrow. About the story and stuff. I'm gonna spoil the whole book, I don't care. That's what I do. everybody's always so worried, but it's nice that nobody really watches this so that I could just spoil it if I want to. I gotta get up there somehow. So yeah, I like the book. I feel smart reading it. It's all good. Yep. See you tomorrow.